Greetings and welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about the 7 habits of highly effective people, and it's one of my favorite topics, and definitely the principles that Stephen Covey teaches are also favorites of mine, and I've done a lot of talks and traveled across the country actually speaking about the 7 habits. It's really one of the truly fascinating ways that you can bring about real change, especially when you're going through a career transition. And if you're making change, then sometimes it's a good idea to make change in other areas of our lives. Stephen Covey was a philosopher, a business philosopher in the last century. He has since passed away, sadly, but he's left behind a body of work that is substantial. And as I said, as somebody who has traveled across Canada speaking on the 7 habits, I really know the value that these habits bring to everyone. So Stephen Covey, as I mentioned, it's really a holistic, integrated, principle-centered approach to solving personal and professional problems. It also gives you a step-by-step insights into living with fairness, integrity, service, human dignity, principles that give us the security to adapt to change and the wisdom and the power to take advantage of opportunities that change does create. Welcome. I hope you're tech ready. It is best heard with headset on. However, you can play it without the headset. Please take a moment to pause anytime you've heard anything that you want to make note of. Please take notes and follow up with, I'm going to be making certain requests as we go along. So as I make those requests, a light bulb will show up and I want you to do some research. So that's why you need your pen and paper. There I go. Notes, reflect on the slides, analyze your own perspective and how this fits in with where you are right now, your findings and thoughts. We always suggest that you journal during this period of time, that you have a diary and journal your feelings and thoughts as you're moving through this process. It can help us when we're dealing with you and if you're dealing with a career transition. And please, at the end of today's presentation, your attendance is very important to us. We need you to fill out an evaluation. We aim for a 5. We're hoping that we meet your expectations. So I'm going to start off with a quote and look at there's a light bulb. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. We see them as we are. This is a famous quote by a 1920s, 1930s French, well, she was actually American French philosopher. She was in the company of giants like Jung and Freud at the time and part of an intellectual community. And I really have to say that this is really a true statement, simply because we are all different. We all see life through different lenses. No one person is the same as the other. We share common characteristics, but we all see life through our lenses, our glasses that we are wearing as human beings. We have to be aware of that. Everybody doesn't see the world the way we do. So the 7 habits, they're considered foundational to bring about change. Things that we would look to for the 7 habits, if you're making a career change, if you're just job searching and making a title change in your job, if you're having a hard time making job search commitment or decision making, you're not scheduling your time more effectively, you need to get yourself on track because you need to make change to improve your current situation. And the only way that we can really do that, whether we're conscious of it or not, a conscious effort would be the best. We set goals and we strive to achieve them. So The 7 habits tackle all of those issues, and we'll just go through them one by one. Why do we plan? Well, planning is bringing the future to the present, into the present, so that we can do something about it now. If we're going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, we want to make sure that we get to the shore before we're on the precipice of going over the falls. So we need to do something upriver. And this is just all human beings. We have a tendency to procrastinate. Stop procrastinating. Start planning so that you can do something about it now and you're not caught going over the edge of Niagara Falls down the road. Here I am. My name is Ann Mossop. I work at the Next Steps Employment Center in Downsview. I'm an employment specialist in that environment. And while we were designing, there were 7 of us designing the career exploration, career discovery program. We all decided to come up with a name that described us. And I would have to say for me, it's always catalyst. I'm always sparking the ideas. My bosses have never said, oh, you never come up with ideas. My bosses are usually saying, would you stop coming up with ideas? So idea person sparks the interest and gets things going. So hopefully I can put a spark under you and get you moving forward. So today we're really only going to talk about the top 2, the 7 habits and shifting our perspective, because we can't look at things the same way. We can't do things the same way. Mediocre is not good enough in today's market. Excellence is good enough. The career discovery, the next steps, we do a SWOT analysis with you at the beginning and at the end. A SWOT analysis is generally speaking a business analysis, but it's something that can also be done for a person. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and trends or threats. We also look into smarter goals, SMART goals, smarter goals. It doesn't seem to be what part of SMART we use. People don't use them. So what gets planned and what you set goals for tends to get done. So it's an important exercise in human life and problem solving. And we also give you all the links to different assessments during career discovery. So today is really going to be short and sweet. As you notice, we have in the bottom right-hand corner a copy of a phoenix. And we chose the phoenix because I don't know if we have any Harry Potter fans, but the phoenix is a symbol of rebirth and re-life. The phoenix bursts into flames and is reborn from the ashes. They also have magical tears and magical powers. We chose the phoenix for career discovery to show, rising out of the ashes, we can recreate, rethink, and reinvent ourselves. Self-reflection is only useful when it's followed by thoughtful action. Knowing something means nothing unless you act on it. So the book, I'm sure, there's at least 6 copies probably in every library. It's something that you can go to the library and take out. And I'm going to go through each one individually. First, I'd like to take a look at a video that is an animation. He has a bit of an accent, but I don't find it hard to understand. Just hold on a moment while I shift over.
I remember in college, students who usually used to get bad grades used to complain almost about everything. The teacher wasn't good enough, the textbook was difficult to understand, the paper was harder than they expected. And that's what the reactive people do. They always focus on the things that they cannot control. On the other hand, proactive person would say, yes, the textbook is quite hard to understand and the lecturer is not the best, but that's not under my control. Instead of complaining about things that I cannot control, why don't I focus on the things that I can control? I can control the amount of time and effort that I am going to put to study for this exam. And this is the difference between the reactive person and the proactive. Reactive people are often affected by their physical environment. If the weather is good, they feel good. If it isn't, it affects their attitude and their performance. While proactive people don't really care about that, since it's not under their control. Whether it rains or shines, it makes no difference for them. They only focus on the things that they can control. Habit number 1, be proactive. If you are given a choice between two jobs, the first one is something that you're not very interested, let's say organizing papers, but with pretty good salary. On the other hand, you can choose to work as a receptionist, which you really enjoy doing because you just love meeting new people every day, but it has lesser salary than the first job. Most people in this case are going to choose the one with the highest salary. But if you look at the consequences of these two jobs, you will find out that the first job might get you higher salary, but it's going to crush you in the long run because you will be doing every single day what you don't like at all. You will just work for the sake of the paycheck. On the other hand, if you choose the second job, which you really like, although that has lesser salary, but you will enjoy your life because you will be doing every single day what you really like. And if you do what you enjoy, you will be getting better and better at it, and eventually you will end up with much higher salary than the first job. That's why begin with the end in mind. And the most important end you have to think is the end of your life. How do you want to be remembered? Well, if you want to be remembered as an honest, good man who was kind and generous to people, then you have to ask yourself whether your actions today will make you be remembered like that tomorrow. So habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. If you ask any student, what's the most important thing in your life now? Not a single student probably will tell you, checking my Facebook, or spend more time hanging out, or even watching TV. Almost everyone will say that getting my degree or improving my grades is the most important thing for me at this moment because I want to find a good job later on once I graduate. Then why most people spend more time hanging out with friends and checking their Facebook rather than spend more time studying? So ask yourself this question. Are you really spending more time on what's more important in your life? If your family is more important than your friends, then why the heck are you spending more time with friends than with your family? So habit number 3, put first things first. Now let's say for the sake of example, I have a shop and I sell juices, and you have a shop also selling juices just beside me. One thing I can do to win your customers is by decreasing my prices, maybe by a little bit, so people will start coming to my shop rather than yours. But that will encourage you to decrease your prices as well by a little bit. So we'll end up together making less profit, which means we'll end up losing together. On the other hand, instead of trying to crush each other, we can say, alright, listen, why don't we approach this issue with win-win situation? Let's stop competing on prices and try to gain more customers by focusing on improving our products so we can end up together making high profits. In order for you to win, other people don't have to lose. Life is not like a zero-sum game like soccer where the only way for you to win is by making the other person lose. Start looking at every situation as a win-win scenario where both of you can walk away completely satisfied. So habit number 4, think win-win. I want you to take a look at this picture and tell me, what do you see? I guess you are seeing a bird with some food in his mouth. But what if I tell you that I'm seeing a fox holding food in his arm? I guess a piece of cheese. Well, you might be thinking that something is wrong with me because it's clearly the bird. We can stay here and argue day and night explaining to each other what is in this picture, or we can listen to each other and try to understand why I am seeing a different picture than you. I guess now we can see the fox. We have such a tendency to rush in to fix things up with good advice, but we often fail to take the time to diagnose, to really deeply understand the problem first. And then even if we listen to each other, we fail because most people don't listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. You find sometimes parents telling you, I can't understand my kid, he won't listen to me. But I guess in order to understand your kid, you have to listen to him, not him listening to you. Habit number 5, seek to understand, then to be understood. If I would ask you to cut into half a matchstick, I have no doubt that you can do that with almost no effort. Even if I give you 50 of them, you can cut them into half one by one, and it won't be hard for you at all, although that it might take you a little bit of time. Now let's look at another scenario. What if all these 50 pieces were combined together? Will you be able to cut them into half? I doubt that now. That's exactly what the synergy is about. Basically, 1 plus 1 doesn't always equals 2. It can equal 3, 5 or more. These matchsticks get way much stronger together than each of them separately. When you combine your efforts, you don't become twice stronger, but much more, maybe even 10 times. And that's something we can apply in different aspects of our life. Instead of doing your assignments or getting ready for finals alone, why don't you get together to study? You will achieve much more with much lesser effort. So habit number 6, synergize. Stephen Covey talks about this example. Imagine you come across someone who is trying to cut down a tree for hours because his saw is dull. You will probably advise him, why don't you take a break for a while and try to sharpen that saw first, then try again? What will you think if that person replies, sorry, but I am busy cutting the tree? This sounds pretty stupid, right? But that's exactly what we are doing in all aspects of our life. I see a lot of people trying to get 2 jobs so that they can make more money. Even I had friends who had 3 freaking jobs. But none of them are stopping for a moment to pick up a book like Rich Dad Poor Dad and learn the path of becoming rich, to learn better ways to make money. Why? Because they are too busy working, they are too busy in their job. Exactly like the guy who tried to cut down the tree with a dull saw. So the last habit is sharpen the saw. And these are the 7 habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey.
And we're back. So I just like that because it's a nice little simplistic animation, but it does really talk about the habits in as quickly a time as possible. This one is Stephen Covey. There's all kinds of YouTubes with him speaking. But the reason the light bulb is there is because you need to investigate further. So I want you to find out about Stephen Covey. I want you to research the 7 habits. If you can pick up the book, I guarantee you won't regret it. And you can go to the library. It won't cost you a thing. But take things further. If you get a string or a piece of rope, don't just hang on to it. Pull on the rope and take things further. It's the only way that you're, motivate yourself. Engage in finding out more about things. There's so many fascinating things that we don't know. So let's investigate the things that we find out about that might be relevant and important to us in our daily life. So this diagram, I love this diagram on the right. Be proactive. Number 1, take responsibility for your life, be accountable, be responsible. You'll notice in the figure, it's on the bottom left triangle. And then over across from it is habit 2, begin with the end in mind. And then above, dependence, private victory, habit 3, put first things first. Now, the reason why we're focusing on these first 3 is because these are more personal change and more of the starting point. So to some extent, you can cycle through these all, those top 3 are the most important for you to cycle through at this particular time. When we look at the upper larger triangle, you see the additional 3 habits. Number 4 is think win-win. 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Number 6 is synergy. And you'll notice that band that's wrapped all the way around both of the pyramid and the inverted pyramid is sharpen the saw. So the top 3 are, the first 3, are really personal. The next 3 are really sort of public victories, how we win public victories. And sharpen the saw on the outside, it not only means to renew ourselves and to rejuvenate, to take breaks that we need, but it also means keep your skills up to date. And right now, that is technical skills. And it is such an easy fix with your library card and lynda.com, or just even YouTube. You can, I mean, I've learned software in a pinch just by going on to YouTube and YouTubing it. And especially if you're not on social media, you can use social media to find out about social media. So there isn't anything that you can't find on YouTube. So when we translate habit number 4, like this is so important. Have an everyone can win attitude. Very important. And I always try to stop myself and remember, how can we make this win-win? Instead of you lose, I win, you lose. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This becomes important during a job search simply because employers are looking for authenticity, for genuine sincerity in their discussions with you. And they're not looking for robotic answers or safe answers. They are looking for you to be sincere and to be and present yourself, your best self, prepared, but your best self. Habit number 6 is so important. All employers are looking for it. And I like that word because synergy, because it just kind of fizzles and sparks. I can sort of have an image with the word. And that's when we work together to achieve more. I always remember a quote from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and it was, 2 people working together is equivalent to the power of 13. It was just, they picked a number. But if you've got 2 people working together, it is much more powerful than just everybody working independently. Together, we can accomplish more. And then number 7, renew yourself. And that means to take care of yourself, self-care. We're all really terrible at doing that. I know I have been sometimes during the pandemic. Take breaks frequently, step away, get some fresh air, clear your head, and then you're in a much better position to cope. Sharpening the saw not only means self-care, but it also means taking care of your skills and all the different skills and achievements and accomplishments you have in that tool belt that you're wearing. I always say it's like a tool belt that we have, and we have different tools and skills that are in that tool belt. We need to make sure our tool belt's up to date. This is such a cute picture, but regardless of what happened to us in the past, how we grew up, what we have faced in the past, nobody knows each individual person's story. And unless you walk in their shoes, it's not going to be likely that you will know what it's like. But there comes a point in time then when we have to be responsible and take responsibility for our own life and be accountable, to be response-able. There's another famous quote. I'm great for famous quotes. Life is 90% of what happens to you and 10%. No, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So you are response-able. We can be proactive. We can plan ahead. This is kind of, again, taking a look at time. What is urgent and important? There's a light bulb there. This is important to visit. We need to avoid and limit 3 and 4. Number 1, crisis and pressing problems demand a necessity, daily firefighting, be quick to delegate if that's required. This is important and urgent. So yeah, it's going to be something that is pressing and right in front of our face. Number 2 is where we can focus most of the time. And there is a clip at the end that Stephen talks about The natural framework that we have to work with is the week. So we can plan our week. We can focus on strategies and things that are of value to us by taking the opportunity and planning out the big rocks, the most important things, and to take in and consider the big picture. You don't have to have a solid schedule, but these things are important, maybe not urgent, but important. And the rest of them, limit the trivial and wasteful. Number 4, that's what I do when I'm watching Netflix all the time, entertainment only, and avoid interruptions in busy work. A lot of times you could see it. It's urgent because there's somebody standing in front of you or whatever, but it's not terribly important. So we need to sort of reduce 3 and 4 and start to focus more on 2. If we focus more on 2, then we'll be able to manage 1 a lot easier. And those are the quadrants that are more important. But definitely study this diagram and go into more detail about this effective way of looking at time. Again, I said the self-management piece is the first 3. Be proactive, take responsibility. I strongly recommend to all of our clients or anyone who's looking for work or anyone who's in the labor market, take career discovery. It's coming up in upcoming months. I'm not allowed to say the months because we're trying to keep it, it's summertime, the next month actually. So keep your eyes and ears open, and I run it quite frequently too. Put first things first, prioritize order and sequence of events and plan and schedule. Begin with the end in mind, set goals. Why are you here? What do you want to accomplish? Now, I got them out of order. Begin with the end in mind is 2. Put first things first is 3. But they're all under the umbrella of self-management. And this is an expectation that we can function in this quadrant, all of us as adults, and function well. Aha, here's the man. So let's take a listen to Stephen Covey. And he's using the framework. Hopefully I don't mess up switching over. And if I do, you're going to be patient with me.
When I was 40.
Oh, I wish. Hang on, let's get past the ads. I don't want to listen to them. Oh, I guess I have to, sorry. I wish it could just go through it. I have to wait 3 seconds, hang on. Oh no. Oh no, I can skip. Oh, hang on. Let's roll back. I'll get it right, yes. Here we go.
Are broken within 30 days. So why even bother? Everybody wants to be happier, healthier, and more productive, but they often don't know how to get there. In this video, you'll see a tried and true process carrying out your resolve to improve your life, 1 week at a time.
You're looking at this scene through what photographers call a wide-angle lens. They use this kind of lens to capture the big picture. Now you are looking through a telephoto lens, which is used to bring objects very close. Now you see me through a standard lens that gives you a normal human perspective. Most people live as if they were looking at life through a telephoto lens. They live hour to hour, day to day, looking at their lives through the lens of what's immediately in front of them and what's most pressing and urgent right now. Imagine walking down a street while looking through a telephoto lens. We would focus only on the immediate threat or the passing impulse. We would live from crisis to crisis, dealing only with urgent things, mistaking them for the important things. The telephoto lens perspective would not allow us to focus on what's truly important, on the big picture of our lives. The big picture is what's ultimately important to us, our life mission, our organizational vision, our long-term Quadrant 2 priorities. But we can't focus all the time on the big picture either. If we don't translate our vision into action, we lose touch with reality. We become dreamers and end up neglecting the very details that enable our vision to come true. So how do we stay focused day to day without losing sight of the big picture? The week is the normal lens that gives the most manageable perspective. You see, the week represents a complete patch in the fabric of life. There are work days, evenings, the weekend. It's close enough to be highly relevant, but distant enough to provide context and perspective. I mean, what you can't do in one day, you might be able to do in another. And over the course of a week, you can balance your life. If you were to ask me, what single practice would do more to balance your life and increase your productivity than any other, it would be this. Plan your week, each week, before the week begins. Take 20 or 30 minutes alone in a quiet place to go through these 3 steps. First, write down the important roles you play in your life. Roles represent your key relationships, your areas of responsibility. You may have the roles of being a manager of new products, a friend, a community volunteer, a family member. And don't forget yourself. You have an obligation to take care of yourself, to sharpen your own saw. Organizing your life around the many roles you play will help you maintain balance and focus on your key relationships, rather than focusing on tasks and things. Second, choose the big rocks. These are weekly Quadrant 2 goals for each of your roles. Look back at the big picture, your mission statement, and your long-range goals, and select those big rocks that will have the greatest impact on your mission and goals. And for each role, ask yourself the big rock question. What is the most important thing I could do in this role this week that would make the most positive difference? For instance, it might be to complete the budget this week. It might be to help a child resolve a problem, or to attend a conference where you will learn new ideas you need for your job. You see, these big rocks will almost always be Quadrant 2 activities. In essence, you're creating your Quadrant 2 plan for the week so that your highest priorities don't get pushed aside by the urgent. Finally, schedule the big rocks. Block out time now in your calendar for those big rocks before the week fills up with other activities. Then schedule your other activities around the big rocks. I once asked the managers of a struggling shopping center the big rock question. What one thing could you do that you absolutely know would have a significant positive impact on your business? Their answer was unanimous and immediate. Improve their deteriorating relationships with their tenants. They were the store owners in the shopping center. Then I asked them how much time they spent doing those kinds of things. It was less than 5%. Oh, they had all kinds of reasons. They had meetings to go to, reports to make out, email to answer. So you know what they did? They set up a goal to spend 1/3 of each week activity helping store owners with their problems. After about a year and a half, the effect was dramatic and profound. The numbers went up, and they had a waiting list for new tenants. This is the power of putting first things first every week. These Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 3 things that creep into your schedule won't overpower the more significant quadrant 2 things. Once you've scheduled your big rocks for each week, then each day you can zoom in and prioritize your daily tasks and appointments. You see, with the right process and the right tools for weekly planning, literally, you can organize and execute every week of your life around your deepest quadrant 2 priorities. You will spend your time on those things that matter most, never losing that big picture perspective that makes your life so rich and so meaningful.
Okay. Switching back. Hang on. Escape out of here.
This is a bad source of protein.
No, we don't want that. So hang on, I'm switching over. And I shall share again. This is where we left off. So there are 3 things that he talked about. Hopefully you wrote them down. If you didn't, the 3 ways to approach your week, write these down. Review your mission and vision and goals within your family and yourself. Choose the big rock things, choose the most important things in your life and schedule those things first. Schedule, schedule, schedule. I'm always saying that. And sorry, let's get back. Schedule your week. So those are 3 ways that you can approach your week. There's all kinds of YouTubes. I like this one because it's talking specifically about the week with the analogy of the telephoto and the camera lenses, because lenses are quite, usually it's used a lot in when we're talking about our perspective. We see life through different lenses, and a lot of it has to do with factors that we talk about in career discovery, like your temperament and your personality and what you value and what is your interest and what are your skills. So all things that you can discover, but this approach to life is something that I think everybody needs to do, especially during a pandemic. So being proactive is just realizing that you are responsible. And I know all of us, we all do this. We can blame genetics, we can blame how we were raised, the culture, the environment, the conditioning of our behavior. We can make up all kinds of excuses, but you're the one that is standing in your shoes, the one that has to show up every day, and you are responsible. So I use the analogy of going over the barrel. If you're proactive, you don't have to wait for circumstances or other people to create perspective expanding experiences. You can consciously create your own. And you do this by being proactive. Those top 3 again, begin with the end in mind and putting first things first. Begin with the end in mind. I guess I know myself, habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. I know that for me, my mission and vision has always been to make a difference. And maybe that I sometimes don't like when they use the tombstone example, because it's kind of late at that point. What will people say about you? Well, I'd rather they say something positive and kind and that I did make a difference in life. I don't really worry too much about after I'm gone. Hopefully we've all planted the seeds and that our existence has made a difference to others in our life. So if we begin with the end in mind, we can just kind of run down that deck and jump headfirst into that beautiful lake. Prioritize and do the most important things first. Put first things first. Habit number 4, we've got Goldilocks in the bed. That's a pretty traditional fairy tale story. And yeah, it kind of demonstrates communication styles. Papa Bear looks really angry. So I'm imagine he's saying, that's my bed. Get out of my bed. So Papa Bear's you win, I win, you lose. Mama, she's kind of passive and it's like, oh, it's okay, dear, you can stay. So Mama Bear loses and Goldilocks wins. And Junior came up with something. It's like, it's okay, help me clean my room. So one is aggressive, one is passive, one is assertive. Assertive is win-win. Win-win is the ideal at work. Win-win is the ideal in life. So just always thinking, catching yourself and starting and thinking, how can I create a win-win situation? When we are interacting with others is a good place to start. Habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Very important during a job search. Genuine authenticity, sincerity, all of these things, speaking from the heart, being prepared, even though you're speaking from the heart, and listening to people sincerely. You cannot show up at an interview, fly by the seat of your pants, not be prepared, and think you're going to ace the interview. Not going to happen because your competition isn't doing that. And again, you have to be able to think on your feet with preparation, and then you can be authentic and sincerely listen to people. Synergy. Number 6 habit, synergize, work together to achieve more. Look at that ant. He's even standing on it. He's putting more weight on it. Anyways, these guys can accomplish more because they work together as a team. And in today's world, inclusiveness and diversity are important considerations. If you're on a team, you can't ostracize or ignore one team member. You just can't do that. If you've been through a pandemic and you can still do that, and maybe you didn't learn something from the whole exercise and experience of COVID-19, we need to work together to achieve more. Sharpen the saw. I think this was a while ago. I think his saw is actually pretty sharp. He's done a very nice job, and it looks like he's got some pretty simple tools. So sharpening the saw means learning, means keeping your skills up to date, and it means, also rejuvenating ourselves. So some of the options available to you: take online courses or continuing education courses, universities, colleges. The enrollments for part-time students in continuing education classes is higher than the day registration. So it's important. And it's telling you that other people that are working are going back on a part-time basis to keep their skills up. So if you're not doing something to keep your skills up to date, chances are you're falling behind and you need to sharpen the saw. So even Toronto District School Board, there's all kinds of compelling online workshops on LinkedIn. Get comfortable with social media. Use YouTube to find out about LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn to find out about LinkedIn, and make sure that you have a presence online. Sharpening the saw also means renewing ourselves regularly. There is an essential time management skills recorded session that I've done, and I talk about the Pomodoro method and taking those breaks and whatnot. So you may want to listen to that particular workshop, Essential Time Management Skills. And I do focus on the Pomodoro method. So something that you can catch. And another quote from a very famous gentleman, Abraham Maslow. What is necessary to change a person is to change his self-awareness. So I would like you to look up Abraham Maslow and see what you can find out about Abraham Maslow and Maslow's theory of hierarchy if you're not familiar with it. Attention, paradigm shift. Paradigm. Paradigm is a strange word. It's not a paradigm, it's a paradigm. It's a model, it is a theory, it is an approach to life, or it's how we view life. We need to shift how we see life at various different times. Certainly what the world has been through globally is a time to make some decisions and to shift how we're thinking. I like that picture. It always kind of reminds me of the brain and all the synapses that are going on. But it's evident that change is something that all of us have to deal with, and as soon as possible to get back on track and to get back to some kind of normality or normalcy in our daily lives. I love this one. This is called Shift. It's not called Shift Happens. There is another one called Shift Happens, and I strongly recommend that you watch that. There's several variations of it. When it first came out, it's actually, some of the statistics are quite shocking. Let's get ready, and I'm going to switch over to this one. I'll talk through, hopefully I won't blow it. So hang on with me for a second. This is a video I'm going to show you by Gerd Leonhard. He is a futurist and somebody who I respect very much, because he still wants to keep the human in working. And his predictions are, we're always going to need human beings. So let's listen to Gerd.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, Anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen, the future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
When I was 40,
Oh no, he's the one that had his wife cheated on him. It keeps popping up, the commercial. I'll have to listen to it. That's got me intrigued now. So it's got a light bulb. What is that telling you? I'd like you to look up Gerd Leonhard. Gerd, and then it's Leon, LeonHRDT, I think. You can find it, I'm sure. Gerd Futurist, and it will probably come up. Yeah, his perspective I like because it's not eliminating the human factors that are so important and enrich all of our lives. Another light bulb. If people are good only because they fear punishment and hope for reward, then we're a sorry lot indeed. Also, the other thing that I thought it was in the presentation, maybe it's later on, him sticking his tongue out saying that, what is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And that's what a lot of us do when we find ourselves in a position where we're looking for a job. What you did 5, 10 years ago isn't going to work. You have to update yourself on what is the expectation in today's market. It's not the same, and you will erode your spirit and your motivation if you do not make some changes. So research, I said to research Anne Nin, research Stephen Covey, research Gerd Leonhard, and research Albert Einstein. That's your homework. Take that piece of string and pull on it to learn more information. Engage. Dear past, thanks for all the lessons. Dear future, I'm ready. We would like you to join Career Discovery that's coming up. Keep your eyes out for the calendar. This is a prelude to Career Discovery, but it just sort of gets you in the right mindset and thinking forward. Okay, so I'm going to introduce your action card. What will you be doing? And just take a minute, jot a few things down on a piece of paper. What do you need to start to do? Well, I gave you some tasks to do some research. Don't just hear something and then just not be curious and take it beyond that point. Pull on the string, pull on the rope, and get more information. What do you need to start doing? This one's usually pretty easy for any one of us to answer. And usually the top number or the top choice is procrastination. Get going. You're hurting yourself, you're hurting your family if you're just not engaged in your job search. And it's a job of yours right now. It's a full-time job. You're doing some great things. What do you need to continue? Checking in on your neighbors, walking the dog, getting outside, getting some fresh air, gardening, whatever it is that you're doing that is contributing to your self-care and your family's care, continue doing. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call afterwards. So I'm going to show my information again. On behalf of all of the Next Steps Employment Centers, thank you for joining me. Gracias, merci beaucoup, obrigado. We're just so happy when you do join us. Please reach out. Dankeschön, we can help in so many ways. Take a chance to reflect on today's information, not just in one ear, out the other. And thank you for attending today's session. Originally, when you were given the coordinates for attending the Zoom recorded sessions, a link is sent out to you with that email. So please go in and take our survey. As I said, we aim for a 5. Your feedback is important to us. Please let us know how we did. On that note, we'll go back. We've reached the end of today's presentation. So please check out all the wonderful recorded sessions. There's quite a large library now. And this is goodbye from Ann Mossop. And I really hope to see everyone very, very soon. Bye for now.